श्री गुरवे नमः।
श्री गुरवे नमः।
श्री गुरवे नमः।
श्री गुरवे नमः।
आचार्यं मां विजानीयां नावमन्येत कर्हिचित् नमर्त्य बुद्ध्या सूयेत सर्वदेव मयो गुरु। हे परम प्रियतम,
हे परम प्रियतम,
पूर्णतम पुरुषोत्तम श्री कृष्ण,
पूर्णतम पुरुषोत्तम श्री कृष्ण,
तुमसे विमुख होने के कारण,
तुमसे विमुख होने के कारण
अनादिकाल से हमने,
अनादिकाल से हमने
अनंतानंत दुख पाए,
अनंत दुख पाए
एवं पा रहे हैं,
एवं पा रहे हैं।
पाप करते करते,
पाप करते करते
अंतःकरण
अंतःकरण
इतना मलिन हो चुका है
इतना मलिन हो चुका है
कि रसिकों द्वारा
कि रसिकों द्वारा
यह जानने पर भी,
यह जानने पर भी
कि तुम अपनी भुजाओं को पसारे,
कि तुम अपनी भुजाओं को पसारे,
अपनी वात्सल्यमयी दृष्टि से,
अपनी वात्सल्यमयी दृष्टि से
हमारी प्रतीक्षा कर रहे हो,
हमारी प्रतीक्षा कर रहे हो।
तुम्हारी शरण में नहीं आ पाता,
तुम्हारी शरण में नहीं आ पाता।
हे अशरण शरण,
हे अशरण शरण,
तुम्हारी कृपा के बिना,
तुम्हारी कृपा के बिना
तुम्हें कोई जान भी तो नहीं सकता,
तुम्हें कोई जान भी तो नहीं सकता।
ऐसी स्थिति में,
ऐसी स्थिति में
हे अकारण करण,
हे अकारण करुण,
पतित पावन श्री कृष्ण,
पतित पावन श्री कृष्ण,
तुम अपनी अहेतु की कृपा से ही,
तुम अपनी अहेतु की कृपा से ही
हमको अपना लो,
हमको अपना लो।
हे करुणा सागर,
हे करुणा सागर,
हम भुक्ति मुक्ति आदि,
हम भुक्ति मुक्ति आदि
कुछ नहीं मांगते,
कुछ नहीं मांगते।
हमें तो केवल,
हमें तो केवल
तुम्हारे निष्काम प्रेम की ही,
तुम्हारे निष्काम प्रेम की ही
एकमात्र चाह है,
एकमात्र चाह है।
हे नाथ,
हे नाथ,
अपने विरध की ओर देखकर,
अपने विरध की ओर देखकर
इस अधम को निराश ना करो,
इस अधम को निराश ना करो।
हे जीवन धन,
हे जीवन धन,
अब बहुत हो चुका,
अब बहुत हो चुका।
अब तो तुम्हारे प्रेम के बिना,
अब तो तुम्हारे प्रेम के बिना
यह जीवन मृत्यु से भी अधिक भयानक है।
मृत्यु से भी अधिक भयानक है।
अतएव प्रेम भिक्षाम देहि।
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 साकेत बिहारी श्री राघवेंद्र सरकार की
जय।
वृंदावन बिहारी श्री यादवेंद्र सरकार की
जय।
श्रीमद् सद्गुरु सरकार की
जय।
जय जय श्री राधे। जय जय श्री राधे। जय जय श्री राधे। बोल
बोल हरि बोल।
हरि हरि बोल, 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 बोल हरि बोल।
मुकुंद मानव गोविंद बोल।
मुकुंद माधव गोविंद बोल।
मुकुंद मानव गोविंद बोल।
मुकुंद माधव गोविंद बोल।
हरि हरि बोल, बोल हरि 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 बोल।
गौर हरि बोल, चैतन्य हरि बोल।
गौर हरि बोल, चैतन्य हरि
Hari Hari Bol, Bol Hari Bol,
Hari Hari Bol, Bol Hari Bol,
Hari Hari Bol.
हरि बोल बोल के ले ले हरि मोल।
हरि बोल बोल के ले ले हरि मोल।
हरि हरि बोल बोल हरि बोल।
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 हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि 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 बोल हरि बोल।
हरि बोल हरि बोल
गाइए सब लोग।
हरि बोल हरि बोल।
हरि बोल हरि बोल 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 हरि बोल हरि बोल।
हरि हरि बोल बोल हरि बोल।
हरि हरि बोल बोल हरि बोल।
हरि हरि बोल बोल हरि बोल,
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 हरि बोल हरि बोल, हरि बोल हरि बोल,
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल, हरि बोल,
हरि बोल हरि बोल, हरि बोल हरि बोल,
हरि बोल हरि बोल, हरि बोल हरि बोल,
हरि बोल हरि बोल 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 हरि बोल हरि बोल,
हरि बोल हरि बोल, हरि बोल हरि बोल,
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल,
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल,
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल,
हरि हरि बोल 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 बोल हरि बोल।
लीलाल जय।
मन्नाथ श्री जगन्नाथो मद्गुरु श्री जगद्गुरु मदात्मा सर्वभूतात्मा तस्मै श्री नमः। अहो चित्रमहो चित्रं वन्दे तत्प्रेमबन्धनम् यद्बद्धं मुक्तिदं मुक्तं ब्रह्मक्रीडाभृगीकृतम्। नमः कमलनाभाय नमः कमलमालिने नमः कमलपादाय नमस्ते कमलेक्षण। यो ब्रह्माणं विदधाति पूर्वं यो वै वेदांश्च प्रहिणोति तस्मै तद्वंह देवमात्मबुद्धिप्रकाशं मुमुक्षुर्वै शरणमहं प्रपद्ये। Dear devotees, we'll do a few minutes of Nam Sankirtan, and after that we'll have some question and answer. So if anybody has any questions, you can keep your question in mind. And before that, we'll do a few minutes of chanting. During the chanting, let us all close our eyes and focus on the form of Radha Krishna. Bring them before you in your own created form, knowing that they also inhabit that form, that real Radha and real Krishna are here with you. Feel their presence and visualize their form as we do some chanting. Radhe 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 Shri Radhe 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 Radhe 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 Shri Radhe 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 Shri Radhe राधे 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 श्री राधे
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 राधे श्री राधे
राधे श्री राधे
राधे राधे राधे
राधे राधे राधे
राधे राधे राधे श्री 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 राधे
राधे श्री राधे
राधे श्री राधे
राधे राधे 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 राधे श्री 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 राधे
Radhe 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 Shri Radhe
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 Radhe Shri Radhe
Radhe Shri Radhe
Radhe Radhe 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 Radhe Shri 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 Radhe
Bolo Vrindavan Bihari Lal Ki Radhe Radhe everyone. We'll be having a question and answer session today. I have a few questions to answer, and if anybody has anything that they want to ask, we'll have the wireless mic ready. You can just raise your hand, and we can take some live questions as well. The first question today is one that has been asked of my Guruji, Shri Kripalu Maharaj, many times, and I've heard him answer this. So I'm going to share the answer with you today. Sometimes people question about the path of bhakti or the practice of devotion to God. Why is it seen that so many people are practicing devotion? So many people do bhakti, and yet those same people are seen to be doing corrupt things, dishonest things, even evil things. So the question is, when we praise the path of devotion and we say that people should do bhakti to God, then why are these very same people doing wrong things? Why is there so much corruption and dishonesty seen even amongst those who visit temples and do a lot of devotion in their home? The answer to this, according to Jagadguru Shri Kripalu Maharaj, is very simple. Nobody is practicing devotion really. In other words, they're practicing physical devotion. They're not joining their mind with God. See, everybody all over the world has good and bad in their heart, and we develop either the good qualities or the bad qualities. So someone would say, well, this person is going to the mandir, this person is doing a lot of prayers to God, they must be developing the good quality. No, not necessarily. To develop your good qualities, you have to join your mind with God. Doing physical devotion has no impact on the mind necessarily, unless it helps you join your mind with God. But just the act of doing arti, the act of singing God's names, the act of reciting some prayers or doing some puja, these are physical acts. We could be doing any one of these things And most of the time, our mind would be in the world. We would be thinking of our family, maybe our kids, or our friends, or we're thinking about something somebody said. We're thinking about something we're afraid of, something that we're angry about, some desire we have, we want to get this thing. That's where our mind is, and yet we're doing physical devotion. Let's consider what is the effect of this. We say, okay, I have dishonesty and anger and jealousy. I have these negative qualities in my heart. Okay, yes, we all do. So it is the mind or the heart that is the thing that needs to be purified. And it is also the mind that generates thoughts, and according to those thoughts, we perform actions. So it is the mind that is the essential mechanism. Mind thinks, mind decides, mind performs the actions. And if the mind is impure, then the mind is going to do wrong things. We are going to do dishonest things if our mind is impure. What I'm trying to say is, it is the mind that's impure, it is the mind that's generating thoughts and deciding to do wrong things, and yet we're not doing anything to purify the mind. We're doing physical acts of devotion and thinking that that's going to make someone a good person. How will doing any physical act of devotion make you a good person if during the performance of that devotion your mind is still in the world? Your mind is still in the field of love and hate and attachment and jealousy and fear and tension. So your mind is swimming around in all of this, and you're physically doing puja or verbally reciting some mantra or doing some kirtan. And then we question, so many people are doing bhakti. Then why are they also doing dishonest things? Because they're not doing bhakti from their mind. Katham vinaro maharsham cetasa dravata vina vinanandashru kalaya shuddhyed bhaktya vinashaya. This is a quotation from the Srimad Bhagavat Puran. It's also here on this panel, right up here. You can check it out later. Here Shri Krishna is saying to Uddhav that without attaching the mind to him, how could the mind be purified? If we're just doing mechanical, physical devotion and the mind is somewhere else, then how would the mind be purified? If our heart doesn't melt for Shri Krishna the way it melts for the world, how would it be purified? If tears of love and longing don't come for God when we're doing prayers, then how would the mind be purified? It shows that our mind is not in God. Vishayan dhyayataschitam vishayeshu vishajjate mamanusmarataschitam mayyeva praviliyate. From the same section of the Bhagavatam, Shri Krishna further tells Uddhav that if you engross your mind in worldly thoughts, desires, dwell upon enjoyments of the world, your mind gets more attached in the world, and more worldly Mayic impurities enter the mind. But if you do the same thing with Shri Krishna, you attach your mind to him lovingly, then your mind gets purified. It's very simple. So God is the purifier. If we attach our mind to his form, his names, his leelas, his qualities, anything associated with him, if we lovingly remember it our mind gets purified. And if we have our mind in the world, our mind gets more impure. So now you have the answer to the question. All those people, including all of us here, why do we still do wrong things? Why do we still do dishonest things? Because we haven't purified our mind. The mind has to be purified through mental devotion. Just the performance of physical formalities of devotion does nothing to purify the mind. Therefore, there will be no change in a person's behavior simply by adopting some worshipping formalities or some ritual routine. So we have the answer to question number 1. See, people use that as some kind of way of either criticizing God or criticizing the existence of temples. See, these people are all worshiping your God, and yet they're all seen to be liars and cheaters. It's not God's fault. They haven't attached their mind to God. If they attach their mind to God, God would purify their mind. Or people criticize a temple, oh, we're building temples, and the very people who are going to the temple are the most corrupt people. Okay, they're physically going to the temple. It doesn't mean they're actually attaching their mind to God through any kind of meditation or loving remembrance of God. Let's say there's a place where people are making effort to attach their mind to God. Like here at Radha Madhav Dham, we try to follow the teachings of Shri Kripalu Maharaj. So we try to meditate on Radha Krishna. We try to actually join our mind with Radha Krishna. So to some extent, we're purifying our heart and mind, but we have unlimited past lifetimes of sins and attachments all accumulated in our mind, and we have to purify all of that. It takes a long time. You could say this is like a treatment center. You come here to purify your mind, cure yourself of those mental illnesses which arise due to the impurity of the mind. So would you go to a hospital where people are there for treatment and walk around and start saying to the doctors, what kind of people do you keep here? Everybody here is sick in one way or another. The doctors would say, yes, this is a hospital. The people who want to get better come to the hospital. So you'll find only sick people here. Similarly, if you go to any genuine place where people are genuinely trying to purify their mind, don't go there and think, okay, at least here everybody's going to behave like saints. No. The people who are coming here to practice have acknowledged that they need to improve themselves. That doesn't mean they've attained a state of perfection. So what I'm saying is the behavior of people doesn't reflect upon God and doesn't necessarily reflect upon the temple either. Each individual person is making their own effort to follow the teachings of the Vedas, the teachings of our Divine Master, to come closer to God, purify our heart, and gradually, slowly improve ourselves. But it takes time. We're all imperfect up until we become God-realized. So we just have to be understanding that just like we are imperfect, I myself am imperfect, everybody I'm going to meet is also going to be imperfect, whether it's out in the world, in the workplace, in a temple. We shouldn't have expectations of perfection. We'll have to deal with the same general human tendencies no matter where we go. Yes, in a temple where people genuinely are trying to improve themselves, there may be some gradual minor improvements in individuals, but it takes a lot of time and a lot of work to overcome our material faults and to gradually purify our heart. So before I go on to the next question, does anybody have any follow-ups related to this or any question that came to mind while you were listening to me? You can ask.
Raise your hands, please.
Radhe Radhe Bhaiya.
Radhe Radhe.
So this is really great that you mentioned not to blame the god or the temple. So how do you kind of control yourself with those thoughts when you see that imperfection or something which is not good, and try to continue to do focused devotion and not get distracted by some other person's action? I mean, most of the time when we see somewhere something happening, you just kind of unknowingly start thinking about those things and kind of get lost or off track on the subject and just keep continuing to think about it rather than focusing on why we are here.
Yeah, just think कि हमारे चिंतन से क्या वो बदलेगा, क्या वो सुधरेगा हमारे चिंतन होने से? नहीं. My thinking is not going to make them change, so why am I wasting my time? I'm just polluting my own mind. I'm bringing that person's faults into my mind, and whatever we dwell upon, those very things become a part of our mind. So we are imbibing the very quality that we find negative. Just think of that. Shri Maharaj says, "Sara sansar kharab hai, humse kya matlab?"
Thank you, Bhaiya.
Anybody else have a question?
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Guruji, why did Mahabharata happen then? Suyodhan's all bad deeds could have been forgiven. Why did Krishna let it happen?
See, there are situations in our life and overall, global situations from macro to micro, global to your life. Those situations can't be ignored, right? So what I was answering in the case of Diya is, it's basically none of your business in this case. What she's talking, you just see somebody, you don't like the way they're acting, but it's not your place to say something, right? You can't go around disciplining each and every person you meet and grumbling at everybody, right? Most of the time, 99% of the time, we keep it to ourselves because it's none of our business, right? But there are certain situations where it is our duty or it's our responsibility to correct a person, to prevent another person from doing wrong or harming someone else. So those situations also come up, right? Let's say you're in a managerial position at work. Then you may have to discipline one of the people on your team. Or you're in government. Then you have to make laws that the people of the society have to follow. And then the police have to enforce those laws, right? So there are certain people in some situations that's their responsibility, is to worry about those things. And then even in our own family, right? We have to provide discipline and guidelines for our children. There are situations where we have to say something. We have to correct another person. We have to try to fix a situation. But those are rare. Right? Most of what we see that we don't like is not something we can change, and by trying to involve ourselves, we wouldn't help the situation anyway. So we just keep quiet, keep our mind in God. So Mahabharata is one of those situations where it was Arjun's duty to stop Duryodhana. That was his role in the society. So simply put, Duryodhan couldn't be allowed to continue doing those wrong things. Somebody had to stop him, and it happened to be Arjun's responsibility. Any other questions? Were you raising your hand? Were you no? Okay, the next question I have to answer for you is that when it comes to meditation, which is the essence of devotion, if we meditate on the form of God, then our mind is attached to God, then our mind gets purified. So a lot of people wonder, why is it so difficult to meditate? Why does my mind wander when I try to meditate? Or people just say, meditation is frustrating, I can't do it. The first thing to know is that there are many kinds of meditation. Most people, when they think of meditating, they think of just clearing their mind. Think of nothing. Have no thoughts, right? The great majority of people think that's what meditation is. That's only one way of trying to meditate. Actually, that's the most difficult way of trying to meditate, because it's the nature of the mind to be active. The mind is always generating thoughts, and it has a forward driving force, always. You know what that force is from? It's because inside our soul is demanding happiness, perfect happiness, God's happiness. So we're getting this impulse from inside, and our mind responds to that. That's why the mind is always actively seeking happiness. That is the reason for each and every thought we have, is the desire to be perfectly happy. Then why would the mind naturally clear itself and think of nothing? The only way you could do that is if you could remove the desire for happiness. If you could stop desiring to be happy, then your mind would stop thinking. But that's never happened in the history. No one has ever stopped desiring to be happy. It's our nature to desire happiness. Sarvesham api bhutanam nripasvatmaiva ballabha itare patya vittadyas tadvallabhatayaivahi. Again from the Bhagavatam, Shukadev ji is saying, all living beings desire happiness. Everything they do is due to this inner desire to be perfectly happy. The desire for happiness originates from the fact that we are a part of God, and God is actual happiness. Since God is happiness, and we are a part of God, we naturally desire happiness. Every ansh desires their anshi. So it's not possible for someone to stop desiring happiness. Therefore, nahi kaschit charnamapi jatu tishthatya karmakrit. The Gita says your mind can never be inactive, even for a fraction of a second. And here we are thinking, I'm going to try to meditate and think of nothing. It's impossible. And then we think that's meditation. And then we become frustrated with meditation and we say, mujhse nahi hoga. But that's only one type of meditation, and the most difficult and fruitless anyway. What if you could think of nothing? What are you getting? Nothing. You get temporary peace, right? You've neutralized your mind for whatever time you have no thoughts, if somebody could actually do that. But you haven't changed the quality of your mind. You haven't purified it. You haven't moved closer to getting happiness. You just got a temporary break. There are other ways to meditate. The way that we teach here is called Rupt Dhyan by Shri Kripalu Maharaj. Rupt Dhyan means focusing your mind on the form of God. Instead of clearing the mind and trying to think of nothing, give the mind something to think about. Normally the mind is thinking about things or people in the world. That's just the natural flow of the mind. We're always thinking about something we desire, something we dislike, something we fear, somewhere our attachment is, either positive attachment or negative attachment. The mind is just flowing from one thing to another. Mano gatira vichhinna yatha gangam bhasom budhau. Bhagwan Kapil says to his mother Devahuti in the Bhagavatam that devotion to God is simply the uninterrupted flow of loving thoughts from your mind to God, just like Gangaji flows continuously from the mountains to the ocean. Having thoughts about God is devotion. That means that meditation is just diverting that natural flow of the mind towards God. The mind is going somewhere in the world, thinking of your kids, thinking of anything, and you just say, oh mind, why are you going in these things? Because you're seeking happiness. Come over here. Krishna is your divine friend. Krishna is the very form of divine love and bliss. So come over here, mind. Think of him. You want beauty? Think of Krishna's beauty. You want a beautiful form? Think of the form of Krishna. You want love? Then love Krishna and receive Krishna's love. You want happiness? Krishna is happiness. He will give you that happiness. So everything the mind desires that compels it to seek worldly things can be used to propel the mind after God. This is the meditation that we teach here. It goes with the flow of the mind. Instead of stopping the flow of the mind, we say, go mind, go full speed towards Krishna. Think of hugging Krishna. Think of Krishna's beautiful eyes, his beautiful face. Think of any Leela of Krishna. Think of Radha Rani. We just celebrated both Janmashtami and Radhashtami. Think of baby Radha, how cute she is if you could hold her in your arms. Think of young Krishna with his chubby cheeks, and now he's growing up a little bit, he's learning to walk, and you're holding his hand, or you gave him your finger, and his little hand is holding your finger, and you're making him walk. All of these are leelas. If your mind is in any of these leelas, your own imagined leela or any leela that you've heard from Bhagavatam, Ramayana, etc., then your mind is getting purified. And that's meditation. See, it's not as hard as you think. Because you thought, oh, when I meditate, I have to think of nothing. But that goes against the flow of the mind. Now you know the best meditation is Rupt Dhyan. You simply let your mind go towards Krishna. If it goes back to the world, just say, oh, you went over there looking for happiness, come back over here. Real happiness is in Krishna. You keep diverting the flow of the mind back towards Krishna. The mind goes over here looking for love, just divert it. Oh, real love is in Krishna. The mind went over here looking for happiness. Oh, mind, happiness is in Krishna. Come over here. In fact, this form of meditation is so natural that when the mind stubbornly keeps going back to the world, there's one other thing you can do. Shri Kripalu Maharaj taught us this technique. He said, if your mind is going in any person or anything, let it go over there, but see Krishna in that person. If you're thinking of a person, think of that person, but see Krishna in them, in their eyes, in their body. Or you're thinking of a particular scene in your office or in your home, fine, let your mind go over there, put Krishna there in your office, in your home. In this way, there's no fight against the flow of the mind. We just keep bringing Krishna in at every step. Thus, meditation becomes much easier than you ever would have imagined. Although it still takes the decision that I want to keep diverting my mind towards Krishna. I want to keep bringing my mind back to Krishna when it goes to the world, but it doesn't have to be a frustrating thing. When your mind goes, just bring it back to Krishna. Through this practice, eventually the mind gets more and more attached to Shri Krishna, and it becomes easier and easier to practice this form of meditation. So this answers the question, why is it so difficult to meditate? Number one, you might be doing a very difficult form of meditation. Try something easier, Rupt Dhyan. And number two, it's difficult to meditate because the mind is very deeply attached in the world. So it's always running after worldly things. That's why it's always going to think of worldly things whenever you try to meditate. So it's okay. That's natural for the mind. Just put Shri Krishna in whatever your mind is attached to. Eventually the mind will settle upon Shri Krishna. So does anybody have any questions about this meditation, Rupt Dhyan? Anything you want to ask about? You can raise your hand if you have a question. Kishori Das Bhaiya will bring the microphone around. When we're done with the Q&A, we'll practice some Rupt Dhyan. So if nobody has any follow-up questions, it means you're ready to meditate. We'll be doing this Rupt Dhyan as I just described to you. So let us all close our eyes. Think of the form of Krishna, any age you want, from newborn to young to full-grown. You could think of Krishna, you could think of Radha, according to your liking. Both are one, so it's up to you. You can think of them in any situation that you want. Make it a live interaction with them. Not like they're stuck in a painting or a murti. Bring them out. Interact with them, talk to them. Even in a modern situation, you can have them play with you, or whatever your favorite hobby or pastime is, think of them joining you in that. Or you can go in the divine world with them, walk around the lanes of Golok, Vrindavan, Barsana. In this way, we'll keep our mind engaged in various ways. Whenever the mind gets bored of one thing, we can change to another. Think of Radha, think of Krishna, think of both. Think of one scene where you're walking in the woods with Radha Krishna, then another scene where you're sharing a meal with them, then another scene where you're going shopping with them in your favorite mall. As long as your mind is in Radha Krishna, it's getting purified. There's no limitation or restriction. So let us all do our own individual Rupt Dhyan. And along with this, we're going to do chanting. The chanting is a very important aid in this meditation because it blocks out any distractions and helps the mind to deeply think about Radha Krishna. Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe 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 Govinda Govinda Radhe
Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe 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 Govinda Govinda Radhe
Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe 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 Govinda Govinda Radhe
Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe 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 Govinda Govinda Radhe
Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe 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 Govinda Govinda Radhe
Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe 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 Govinda Govinda Radhe
Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe 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 Govinda Govinda Radhe
Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe 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 Govinda Govinda Radhe
Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe
Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe
Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe
Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe
Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe 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 Govinda Govinda Radhe
Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe 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 Govinda Govinda Radhe
Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe 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 Govinda Govinda Radhe
Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe 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 Govinda Govinda Radhe
Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe 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 Govinda Govinda Radhe
Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe 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 Govinda Govinda Radhe
Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe 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 Govinda Govinda Radhe
Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe 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 Govinda Govinda Radhe
Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe
Radhe Radhe Govinda
राधे राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे 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 गोविंद गोविंद राधे
राधे राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे 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 गोविंद गोविंद राधे
राधे राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे 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 गोविंद गोविंद राधे
राधे राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे 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 गोविंद गोविंद राधे
राधे राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे 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 गोविंद गोविंद राधे
राधे राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे 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 गोविंद गोविंद राधे
राधे राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे 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 गोविंद गोविंद राधे
राधे राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे 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 गोविंद गोविंद राधे
राधे राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे 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 गोविंद गोविंद राधे
राधे राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे 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 गोविंद गोविंद राधे
राधे राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे
राधे राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे
राधे राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे
राधे राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे
राधे राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे 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 गोविंद गोविंद राधे
राधे राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे 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 गोविंद गोविंद राधे
राधे राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे 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 गोविंद गोविंद राधे
राधे राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे 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 गोविंद गोविंद राधे
राधे राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे 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 गोविंद गोविंद राधे
राधे राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे 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 गोविंद गोविंद राधे
राधे राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे 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 गोविंद गोविंद राधे
राधे राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे 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 गोविंद गोविंद राधे
राधे राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे
राधे राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे
राधे राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे
राधे राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे
राधे राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे 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 गोविंद गोविंद राधे
राधे राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे 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 गोविंद गोविंद राधे
राधे राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे 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 गोविंद गोविंद राधे
राधे राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे राधे Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe
Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe 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 Govinda Govinda Radhe
Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe 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 Govinda Govinda Radhe.
श्रीमद् युगल सरकार की
Radhe Radhe. Welcome everyone to Sri Raseshwari Radha Rani temple. How many of you are here present or for the first time visiting Radha Madhav Dham? Wow, quite a big number.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Welcome everyone to Sri Raseshwari Radha Rani temple. Radhe. So if you are here for the first time and you are not aware or doesn't have much knowledge about Swami Nikhilanandji, so I would like to give a brief introduction. So Swami Nikhilanandji is a disciple and sannyasi teacher of Jagadguru Kripalu Maharaj, and for over 20 years has dedicated his life to teaching the deepest aspects of Sanatan Dharma found in the vast Vedic scriptures with an innate ability to bring the most intricate and complex divine philosophy to his audience. He tirelessly teaches to adults and youths alike. Swamiji is able to help everyone understand how to practice the universal teachings of Hinduism, devotion, and meditation. He is one of the managing members of JKP Radha Madhav Dham, Austin, Texas. And also Swamiji visits the many parts of United States and conducts the similar program. So again, we'd like to congratulate and thanks Swamiji today for enlightening and giving those discourses, bringing it to us. Thank you. And then Swamiji is traveling to India and he will be conducting similar programs for next 2 months. But once he's back in November, so he will be conducting the interactive family Gita class here at Radha Madhav Dham during the Thanksgiving weekend. So we will have the flyers. And if you are interested in participating in those programs on Gita class, so please sign up at our front desk so that we will be sending those information out. And then regarding the temple, Radha Madhav Dham, so we are a temple and part of JKP India, Jagadguru Sri Kripalu Parishad. And Jagadguru Sri Kripalu Maharaj is a guru and the founder of this temple. And JKP India, has connected with us to, it has conducting many philanthropic activities as well, such as education and medical in the rural part of India. And we also celebrate many major Hindu festivals. And if you want to be part of our mailing list, please sign up at our front desk. And also we have 2 WhatsApp groups, one for a volunteer and another for a community. So please also use the QR code on your phone and be part of that. And wanted to say 2 major festivals that are coming up in next month. So the first one being the Sarat Purnima, which is on October 7th through 9 weekend. And Sarat Purnima is also the appearance day of our Guru, Jagadguru Sri Kripalu Maharaj. So it will be his 100th anniversary of appearance day. So we will be celebrating that. And on October 22nd, we will have the Diwali Festival. And if you have attended in the past, so the Diwali at Radha Madhav Dham is a blast. So we'll have the food booths, we will have fireworks, there will be cultural programs. So there is a flyer at the front desk. So please check that out on October 22nd. But the best way to stay connected again is through our mailing list so that you don't miss any such events. And also we would like to cordially invite all of you to our daily Satsang, which happens every evening 7:30 till 9 p.m., which is also broadcasted live on our YouTube as well as Facebook channel. So please stay connected with us. And also we have our Shiksha school. So especially many Parents, I do see you have kids. So our Shiksha schools offers a lot of educational for the kids, like instruments. There will be Vedic math. There is a Hinduism classes and a lot more. So please check out our flyer at the front desk regarding the Shiksha. And now, please all stand. We will do the Aarti, and please go closer to the shrine to have the closer look of our deities. Radhe Radhe.